The space around Proxima B7 shimmered as the U.S. horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The massive research vessel's engines hummed quietly as it settled into orbit around the blue-green planet. Commander Lisa Winters stood at the main viewport, her eyes fixed on the world below. After 5 years of deep space exploration, they had finally found what they were looking for, a planet with signs of intelligent life. "All systems are stable, Commander," reported Navigation Officer Paul Young. "We're in standard orbit." Lisa nodded. "Prepare the landing shuttle. I want our first contact team ready in 30 minutes." The ship buzzed with excitement as the chosen crew members gathered their equipment. Science Officer Frank Harris double-checked his universal translator, a device that had been tested on 17 alien languages, but never on a completely new species. "Nervous?" asked Lisa, watching Frank adjust the settings. "Terrified," Frank admitted with a smile, "but in a good way." The landing shuttle cut through the planet's atmosphere, revealing vast purple forests and shimmering blue lakes. As they approached the designated landing zone, they saw them, the Varaxians. The aliens had gathered in a semicircle, their slender bodies glowing with soft blue light. Each had 3 large eyes and 4 long arms that moved gracefully as they communicated with each other. The shuttle landed gently on the purple grass. Lisa took a deep breath and led her team down the ramp. Frank stood beside her, translator ready, while Security Officer Greg Peterson kept a careful hand near his weapon. The tallest Varaxian stepped forward. Its skin pulsed with light in complex patterns. Frank's translator beeped as it processed the light signals. Then a mechanical voice spoke. "Welcome to Varax. I am Zil-Tor, voice of the Eastern Tribes." Lisa bowed slightly. "I am Commander Lisa Winters of the Earth vessel Horizon. We come in peace and friendship." The next hours passed in careful conversation as both species learned about each other. The humans discovered that the Varaxians were a peaceful, plant-eating people who had recently developed space travel but had not yet ventured beyond their moon. "Your world is beautiful," Lisa said as they walked through a Varaxian village. The buildings were grown rather than built, living structures shaped from special trees that the Varaxians had guided into homes and meeting halls. Zil-Tor's lights pulsed with what the translator identified as pride. "We live in harmony with all growing things. It is our highest teaching." As night fell, the Varaxians invited the humans to a feast. Long tables held dozens of colorful fruits and vegetables. No meat was anywhere to be seen. Greg leaned toward Lisa and whispered, "Seems they're strict vegetarians." During the meal, Frank noticed that the Varaxians kept glancing nervously toward the southern horizon. "Is something wrong?" he asked Zil-Tor. The aliens' lights dimmed slightly. "The night belongs to the Craxus. We are safe here, but no one travels south after dark." "Craxus?" Lisa asked. Zil-Tor's 3 eyes blinked in unison. "The great hunters. The Deathbringers. The most feared creatures on our world." The translator couldn't fully capture the mix of terror and reverence in Zil-Tor's light patterns. "Tomorrow is the day of watching," continued Zil-Tor. "If you wish, you may join us in the sacred ceremony. From the viewing cliffs, we can safely observe the Craxus in their hunting grounds." Greg perked up at this. "We would be honored," he said before Lisa could respond. Later, back at their shuttle, the human team discussed the day's events. "They seem to worship these Craxus creatures," said Frank, "or at least deeply respect them." Lisa nodded. "We need to be careful. This ceremony tomorrow could be important for our relationship with the Varaxians." Greg was already checking the specs on his scanner. "I can't wait to see what kind of predator could scare an entire intelligent species this much." As the humans prepared for sleep, the forests around them glowed with the soft light of Varaxian sentries. Far to the south, something large moved through the purple trees, its roar too distant to hear, but felt as a shiver in the ground beneath their feet. The night passed slowly, the humans unaware that tomorrow's ceremony would be the first step toward a profound cultural misunderstanding. The morning sun cast long shadows across the purple landscape as the humans followed their Varaxian guides toward the viewing cliffs. The air was thick with a sweet scent similar to cinnamon, and strange bird-like creatures with 6 wings called from the treetops. "How much farther?" asked Greg, adjusting the weight of his equipment pack. He had brought scanning devices, sample collectors, and a small drone against Lisa's better judgment. "The sacred place lies just beyond the next ridge," Ziltor replied, the translator converting his light patterns into words. "We must be silent as we approach. The Kraxis have excellent hearing." The group climbed a steep path that wound between large blue rocks. When they reached the top, the Varaxians stopped and dropped to their knees. Below them stretched a vast valley where the purple forest gave way to open grasslands. A river cut through the center, its waters shimmering under the alien sun. "We wait," whispered Ziltor. They come to the river at midday. For an hour, nothing moved except the grass swaying in the breeze. Then Frank pointed toward a distant tree line. There, a massive shape emerged from the forest. Even from half a mile away, the humans could see it was enormous. The creature walked on 6 powerful legs, its body covered in thick scales that reflected the sunlight like metal. Its head was twice the size of an earth elephant's, with 3 rows of teeth visible even at this distance. "A Kraxis," Ziltor said, his light patterns dimming in reverence and fear. "The most perfect hunter our world has created." 2 more Kraxis joined the first, and the humans watched in fascination as the creatures drank from the river. Their movements were surprisingly graceful for such large animals. "They're beautiful," whispered Sharon Miller, the team's biologist. She had joined the expedition at the last minute and was now filming everything with a small camera. "Beautiful and deadly," said Ziltor. "A single Kraxis can destroy an entire village. Their scales can't be pierced by any weapon we have created. Their venom kills in minutes." Greg studied the beasts through high-powered binoculars. "Fascinating. They look similar to some prehistoric creatures from Earth, but much larger." He turned to Lisa with excitement in his eyes. "Commander, we need to study these creatures up close. Think of what we could learn." Lisa frowned. "We're guests here, Greg. The Varaxians clearly consider these animals sacred." "Not just sacred," corrected Ziltor. "They are the balance. They remind us of our place in the world. No Varaxian would dare approach a Kraxis." "But we're not Varaxian," Greg argued quietly so only Lisa could hear. "We have technology that could protect us. Force fields, stun weapons. We could collect samples safely." The ceremony continued through midday. The Varaxians chanted in soft, musical tones as more Kraxis appeared. At one point, the humans witnessed a Kraxis hunt down a large deer-like animal, tearing it apart with frightening efficiency. When the ceremony ended, the group made their way back down the cliff path. Greg walked beside Lisa, still making his case. "Just a small team. Me, Sharon, and maybe Carl for extra security. We'll be careful." Lisa sighed. "I'll think about it." Later that evening, Lisa called a meeting in the shuttle. "Greg has proposed a research expedition to study the Kraxis up close," she told the team. "I have concerns, but I also understand the scientific value." Sharon nodded eagerly. The biochemistry alone could be groundbreaking. If their venom is as potent as the Varaxians claim, it might have medical applications. "The Varaxians won't like it," Frank warned. "They seem genuinely terrified of these creatures." "Which is exactly why we should go," argued Greg. "Humans have always faced their fears. Maybe we can help the Varaxians do the same." After much debate, Lisa made her decision. 3 days from now, a small team will venture into Kraxis territory. "We'll inform our hosts of our plans as a courtesy, but we're not asking permission. We'll use non-lethal methods only, and priority 1 is team safety." What the humans didn't realize was how deeply their plan would shake Varaxian society, or how it would pale in comparison to what would happen next. The news of the humans' plan spread quickly through the Varaxian community. Ziltor arrived at the human camp the next morning, his light patterns flashing in patterns that the translator struggled to interpret. "You cannot do this," he said finally, his three eyes blinking rapidly. "No one approaches the Craxus and lives. It is forbidden." Lisa tried to calm the ambassador. "We understand your concern, Ziltor. But our species has developed ways to study dangerous animals safely. We won't harm the Craxus, I promise." "It is not about harm," Ziltor insisted. "It is about respect. The Craxus rule the Southlands. We do not enter their domain." Despite the protests, Greg, Sharon, and Carl prepared for their expedition. They packed stun rifles, portable force field generators, and sample collection kits. The Varaxians watched with a mixture of fear and fascination as the three humans loaded their equipment into a small ground vehicle. "They think we're crazy," Carl said, checking the charge on his stun rifle. The burly security officer had fought dangerous animals on 3 different planets, but never anything like the Craxus. "They might be right," Sharon replied with a nervous smile. She had studied deadly creatures throughout her career, but the Craxus represented something special, an apex predator from an alien ecosystem. The ground vehicle moved quietly through the purple forest, its electric motor barely making a sound. Greg drove while consulting a digital map based on Varaxian information. After 2 hours, they reached the edge of what the Varaxians called the Deathlands. "Force fields ready?" Greg asked. Carl nodded, activating the system. A shimmer of energy surrounded their vehicle. "Let's find ourselves a Craxus," Greg said with a grin. They didn't have to wait long. Less than a mile into the Deathlands, their sensors detected a large heat signature moving through the trees ahead. Greg slowed the vehicle and activated the camouflage system, making them nearly invisible. "It's huge," whispered Sharon as the Craxus came into view. Up close, the creature was even more impressive than it had appeared from the cliffs. Its scaled body gleamed like polished metal, and muscles rippled beneath its armored skin as it moved. Greg carefully maneuvered the vehicle closer. "I'm going to try to collect a scale sample," he said, preparing a small drone equipped with a sampling tool. "The force field should keep us safe if it charges." The drone whirred quietly as it left the vehicle and approached the massive predator. The Craxus suddenly stopped feeding on a carcass and raised its head, sensing something unfamiliar. "It knows we're here," Carl whispered, his hand tightening on his weapon. The drone extended its collection arm toward a loose scale on the creature's flank. Just as it made contact, the Craxus roared, a sound so powerful it shook the vehicle. The beast whirled around with shocking speed and lunged toward them. "Hold on," Greg shouted as he reversed the vehicle. The Craxus slammed into their force field, making the energy barrier flare bright blue. The creature recoiled, confused by the invisible wall. "We got the sample," Sharon exclaimed, checking the drone's return capsule, and it didn't even damage the drone. The Craxus recovered quickly and charged again. This time, Carl fired his stun rifle. The electrical pulse hit the creature directly, making it stumble but not fall. "Incredible," Sharon murmured, taking readings. "Its nervous system must be decentralized. A stun charge that would drop an earth elephant barely slowed it down." For nearly an hour, they studied the beast, collecting data on its movements, biology, and behavior. When they finally returned to the human base, they were greeted by a delegation of worried Varaxians. "You survived," Ziltor said, his light patterns showing disbelief. "We did more than survive," Greg replied proudly. "We collected samples and data. Your Craxus is amazing, but not invincible." Word of the human success spread rapidly through Varaxian society. Some were horrified at the disrespect shown to the sacred beasts. Others, particularly younger Varaxians, were secretly impressed and curious. That evening, Chef Olivia Martinez approached Lisa with an idea. "Commander, I'd like to prepare a special meal for our Varaxian friends. A proper Earth-style dinner to show our gratitude for their hospitality." Lisa nodded, unaware that this innocent suggestion would soon create a diplomatic crisis beyond anything they could imagine. The following evening, the humans prepared for their special dinner with the Varaxians. Chef Olivia spent hours in the shuttle's small kitchen, preparing Earth delicacies from their stored supplies. The air filled with the rich smells of roasting meat, herbs, and spices. "Do you think they'll like our food?" Olivia asked Lisa as she arranged slices of beef, chicken, and fish on serving platters. "I'm not sure," Lisa replied. "We've only seen them eat plant foods, but cultural exchange is about sharing differences, not just similarities." As the Varaxian delegation arrived, Frank guided them to a table decorated with small earth plants the team had brought along. Ziltor and 5 other high-ranking Varaxians sat down, their light patterns showing curiosity. "Tonight, we share the food of Earth with our new friends," Lisa announced, "just as you have welcomed us with your meals." Olivia began bringing out the dishes, explaining each one with pride. "This is a salad with vegetables similar to your own plants, and here we have bread made from wheat grain." The Varaxians sampled these familiar foods happily. Then Olivia brought out the main course. "This is beef from an animal called a cow. And this is chicken. And this is fish," she explained, pointing to each meat dish. "Humans are omnivores, which means we eat both plants and animals." The light patterns of every Varaxian dimmed suddenly. Ziltor's 3 eyes widened, and he pulled back from the table. "You eat other creatures?" he asked, his translator struggling to convey his shock. Frank quickly sensed the problem. "It's part of our biology," he explained gently. "Humans evolved as omnivores. We need certain proteins that are difficult to get from plants alone." But the Varaxians were not listening. They stared at the meat platters with what could only be described as horror. "How can a sentient species consume the flesh of other living beings?" another Varaxian elder asked, lights pulsing rapidly. Lisa tried to salvage the situation. "On Earth, many animals eat other animals. It's part of the natural cycle. We raise some animals specifically for food, and we thank them for their sacrifice." This only seemed to make things worse. The Varaxians began a rapid exchange of light patterns that the translator couldn't keep up with. Finally, Ziltor addressed the humans again. "In all our history, only the Kraxus and other hunters take life for sustenance. No thinking being would lower themselves to such savagery." The dinner ended awkwardly, with the Varaxians politely but firmly declining to stay. As they left, Lisa heard them discussing among themselves, with the translator catching phrases like predator species and dangerous visitors. "That could have gone better," Greg said after they had gone. "But they'll get over it. It's just cultural shock." Before anyone could respond, the ground shook with a powerful impact. Outside, alarms began to sound throughout the Varaxian village. "What's happening?" Lisa demanded, rushing to the shuttle's sensor panel. "Something big is approaching the village from the south," Carl reported. Moving fast, the humans grabbed their equipment and rushed outside. In the growing darkness, they could see Varaxians running in panic, their bodies flashing bright warning patterns. A roar echoed through the trees, a sound they had heard before. "Kraxus," Greg whispered, "a big one, heading straight for the village." The massive predator burst through the tree line, its 6 powerful legs carrying it forward with frightening speed. Several small Varaxian structures were crushed beneath its feet as it charged. Without hesitation, Carl raised his weapon. "We need to stop it before it reaches the main settlement." Lisa nodded grimly. "Non-lethal measures first. Try to drive it back into the forest." The security team spread out, firing stun pulses at the creature. The Kraxus roared in anger but kept coming, shaking off the electrical charges as if they were nothing more than irritating insects. "It's not working," shouted Carl. "Permission to use lethal force." Lisa looked at the fleeing Varaxians, saw the terror in their light patterns, and made her decision. Take it down. What happened next would forever change human-Varaxian relations in ways none of them could have predicted. Carl switched his weapon to full power and took careful aim at the charging Craxus. The high-energy beam struck the creature's front leg, making it stumble. Greg and two other security officers fired at the same time, their combined shots finally bringing the massive predator down. It crashed to the ground with a thunderous impact, crushing several small buildings beneath its enormous body. For a moment, silence fell over the village. The Varaxians stood frozen, their light patterns dim with shock. They stared at the fallen Craxus, then at the humans with their still smoking weapons. "The village is safe now," Lisa called out, hoping the translator would convey her meaning properly. Instead of gratitude, the Varaxian response was immediate and unexpected. Wails of distress filled the air as dozens of light patterns flashed in patterns the translator identified as sacred violation and ultimate taboo. Ziltor pushed through the crowd, his three eyes fixed on the dead Craxus. "What have you done?" he asked, his voice coming through the translator as barely more than a whisper. "We saved your people," Greg replied, confused by the reaction. "That thing was going to destroy half your village." "We would have hidden, then rebuilt," Ziltor explained, his light patterns showing deep distress. "The Craxus tests us, culls the weak, but we never, ever harm them. They are the balance of our world." Lisa stepped forward. "I apologize for acting without understanding, but we couldn't stand by and watch your people be injured or killed." While the tense exchange continued, Chef Olivia had wandered closer to examine the fallen beast. Her training as a chef made her see things differently than the others. The creature was massive, easily weighing several tons, with meat that would feed hundreds. "What will happen to it now?" she asked, interrupting the argument. Ziltor's lights pulsed slowly. "Its body will be left untouched, to return to the soil. No Varaxian would dishonor the sacred hunter." Olivia couldn't help herself. "But that's such a waste. On Earth, when hunters take down an animal, we use every part. The meat for food, the hide for leather, the bones for tools. It honors the creature's sacrifice." The Varaxians went completely still, their lights dimming to near darkness. The translator struggled to interpret their response, finally settling on profound horror. Back at the shuttle later that night, Lisa called an emergency meeting. "We've created a serious cultural incident," she told her team. "The Varaxians view the Craxus as sacred beings. Killing one was bad enough, but Olivia's suggestion about eating it has made things much worse." "I was just trying to explain our customs," Olivia defended herself. "I didn't realize it would upset them so much." Frank, who had been studying Varaxian cultural records, spoke up. "Their entire society is built around avoiding conflict with predators. They see themselves as caretakers of plants, not consumers of flesh. The concept of eating a Craxus is like suggesting cannibalism would be to us." "What's our next move, Commander?" asked Greg. Lisa thought carefully. "We need to respect their customs while we're on their planet. No more hunting, and definitely no meat consumption where they can see it. Frank, work with Ziltor to find a way to make amends." The meeting ended, but Olivia remained behind. "Commander, I have a suggestion. It might sound strange, but hear me out." Later that night, against direct orders, Olivia slipped out of the shuttle with a small team of volunteers. They quietly approached the fallen Craxus and began their work under portable lights. "If we're quick and careful, we can be done before morning," Olivia whispered, unfolding her set of chef's knives. "It would be a shame to let all this go to waste." None of them noticed the small Varaxian scout watching from the shadows, its lights completely dimmed as it recorded everything with a communication device. By morning, images of the humans harvesting the sacred predator would spread across the entire Varaxian communication network, causing a reaction beyond anything the humans could imagine. Lisa woke to the sound of urgent knocking on her cabin door. She opened it to find Frank standing there, his face pale. "Commander, we have a serious problem," he said. "The Varaxians are gathering outside our base. Hundreds of them." Lisa quickly dressed and hurried to the main viewport. What she saw made her stomach drop. A sea of Varaxians surrounded their landing zone, their bodies flashing bright, angry patterns. Some carried farming tools that now looked menacing. "What happened?" she asked. Greg approached with a small device. "You need to see this," he said grimly. He activated the screen to show blurry images of humans harvesting the dead Craxus under cover of darkness. The final image showed Olivia directing the operation. "Where is she?" Lissa demanded. "In the galley," Carl replied. "She's been cooking all night." Lisa stormed into the shuttle's small kitchen area. The smell hit her immediately. Rich, savory aromas of roasted meat and spices. Olivia stood proudly beside several large pots and platters filled with prepared food. "What have you done?" Lisa asked, her voice dangerously quiet. Olivia smiled, not sensing the commander's anger. "I've prepared a feast. Traditional Earth dishes using the Craxus meat. It's amazing. Somewhere between beef and alligator in taste. I thought we could share it with the crew tonight." "The Varaxians know," Lisa said flatly. "Someone recorded you butchering their sacred animal." The color drained from Olivia's face. I was just trying to follow our own customs, to honor the animal by using it fully. Their customs are what matter right now." Lisa snapped. "We're guests on their planet." A communication alert sounded. On the main screen, Ziltor's image appeared, his light patterns so intense the translator struggled to keep up. "Humans," the mechanical voice finally managed, "you have committed the highest sacrilege. You have consumed the great balance. Our people demand your immediate departure from our world." Lisa stepped into view of the camera. "Ambassador Ziltor, please accept our deepest apologies. What happened was not authorized. Those responsible will be disciplined." "It is too late," Ziltor replied. "Images of your feast have spread to all Varaxian communities. Some believe you are evil spirits come to destroy our world. Others think you are something worse, a species that consumes even that which consumes others. A predator of predators." Lisa tried again. "Please, let us meet to discuss this. There must be a way to make amends." After a long pause, Ziltor agreed. "One meeting. Bring only yourself and your language expert." The screen went dark. Lisa turned to her shocked crew. "Frank, you're with me. Everyone else, prepare for emergency departure if necessary." Lisa and Frank made their way through the crowd of Varaxians, who parted silently before them. Their light patterns now showed a new emotion, fear mixed with awe. In the main Varaxian meeting hall, they found not just Ziltor, but a council of elders. The atmosphere was tense, the lights dimmed to show solemnity. "Our society is in chaos," Ziltor began without preamble. "Your actions have divided us. Some wish to drive you away with force. Others—" A younger Varaxian stepped forward, interrupting. "Others wish to learn from you," it said, its patterns bright and quick. "I am Mortek, nephew of Ziltor. Some of us see that your ways, while shocking, have power. You faced the Craxus without fear. You mastered it completely." Several elders flashed angry patterns at the young Varaxian, but Mortek continued. "For generations, we have lived in fear of the Craxus. We have accepted death when they attack our villages. Perhaps there is another way." Ziltor turned to Lisa. "This is the crisis you have created. Half our people see you as monsters to be feared. The other half wish to become like you, fearless hunters of the most dangerous beasts. What can we do to resolve this?" Lisa asked. "There is only one solution acceptable to both factions," Ziltor said gravely. "You must perform the ritual of understanding." Frank leaned toward Lisa and whispered, "I've read about this in their records. It's their most sacred ceremony, never before offered to outsiders." "What does it involve?" Lisa asked. Ziltor's lights pulsed slowly. "You must face the great balance in its true form and either perish or find a new balance between our peoples. Dawn broke over the purple forests as Lisa, Frank, and Greg stood at the edge of a large circular clearing. Hundreds of Varaxians surrounded them, their bodies glowing softly in the early morning light. In the center of the clearing stood a massive stone platform. "What exactly is this ritual?" Lisa whispered to Frank. "From what I understand, they believe we must face the essence of the Craxus to restore balance," Frank replied. But the texts were unclear about what that actually means. Ziltor approached, followed by Mortek and several elders. "It is time," the ambassador said. "Commander Lisa Winters will approach the sacred stone alone." Lisa nodded to her team and walked forward. The stone platform was covered in ancient carvings showing Varaxians and Craxus in various scenes. At the center lay a small object that glowed with a faint blue light. "This is the first fang," Ziltor explained. "Taken from the first Craxus that ever hunted our kind. It contains the essence of the great predator. You must touch it and accept what comes." Lisa looked back at her team, then reached out and placed her hand on the fang. Immediately, a burning sensation shot up her arm, and the world around her faded. In her mind, she saw flashes of primitive Varaxians fleeing from massive predators. She felt their terror, their helplessness. Then, unexpectedly, she saw something else. Early Varaxians with crude weapons, hunting smaller creatures, eating meat. With a gasp, Lisa pulled her hand away. The visions ended, but understanding remained. "Your people," she said to Ziltor, "you were once hunters too, before the Craxus." A murmur ran through the crowd. Ziltor's lights dimmed in what seemed like embarrassment. "It is our oldest secret," he admitted. "Long ago, before the rise of the Great Balance, our ancestors consumed flesh. But when the Craxus came, they proved to be better hunters than we could ever be. We learned to grow plants instead, to avoid competing with them. Over time, this became our way, and the old ways were forgotten, considered primitive and shameful." Lisa turned to the gathered Varaxians. "There is no shame in evolution. Earth humans once feared many predators too. We survived by becoming better hunters, by using our minds to create tools and weapons. But we never forgot to respect the predators that shaped us." Mortek stepped forward, his light patterns bright with excitement. "This is what I and others believe. We can respect the Craxus without living in fear of them." "Not all change is good," countered an elder. "Our peaceful ways have served us well." "Then perhaps there is room for both paths," Lisa suggested. "Those who wish to learn new ways can do so, while others maintain your traditional relationship with the Craxus." After much discussion among the Varaxians, a new understanding began to emerge. By midday, Ziltor approached Lisa with a formal proposal. "We will establish a new tradition," he said. "Once each year, humans may hunt one Craxus, using your methods that honor the creature through use rather than distance. In return, you will teach interested Varaxians your ways of coexisting with predators without fear, while respecting those who maintain our traditional beliefs." Lisa agreed, and a new ceremony began. Under her guidance, Mortek and several young Varaxians approached a small, non-threatening creature similar to an earth rabbit. With simple tools, they humanely captured it, and after a moment of respect, prepared it as food. When Mortek took his first bite of meat in Varaxian history, his light patterns flashed with complex emotions that the translator couldn't quite capture. "It tastes," he said finally, "like memory." 1 month later, as the U.S. Horizon prepared to depart, Lisa looked out at the changed landscape below. A small human outpost remained behind, staffed by volunteers who would continue the cultural exchange. Meanwhile, several Varaxians had requested permission to join the human crew, eager to see the stars and learn more about these strange predators of predators. "Ready to break orbit, Commander?" asked Paul from the navigation console. Lisa nodded. "Take us up slowly. We've made history here, the first alliance between herbivores and omnivores across the stars." I want to enjoy the view while it lasts." As the ship rose through the atmosphere, she thought about Chef Olivia, who had turned a diplomatic disaster into an unexpected bridge between species. Sometimes, Lisa reflected, the strangest customs could lead to the most important connections. And somewhere below, the remaining Craxus roamed free, now part of a more complex balance that included humans and a new generation of Viraxians no longer ruled by fear.